Trails Collective, what's shaking? Ian here for the results and voices episode for the weekly rundown ending, which would end Friday, November 28th or something to that effect. Hopefully this finds you all having great weeks. Really looking forward to Thanksgiving as I film. Hopefully some of you are about to tune in to the Beast Coast film series premiere tonight, and just looking forward to a couple days ahead. So I'm going to bring you basically the mention and voices from 4 different events that ran this past weekend. And as I've mentioned in the past, having the voices in the mix is something that I had really hoped would be the nature of these episodes. And so it's really important to me to have it not just be me sitting here jabbing at you, but those, whether they be RDs or whether they be entrants or finishers, bring you actually voices from the field who can weigh in on the experience, the course events, or really whatever they want to share, and to also represent a larger Trails Collective, which is my hope. So we will get into it here. First one is labor pain. It traditionally is a 12-hour. This year, based on, I think, pushback, became a 10-hour event put on by the crew at Pretzel City Sports. Wicked active and fun crew that puts on a ton of events in Pennsylvania. It ran this past Sunday, and we have a few individuals weighing in on the event. First is Tracy Wright and her son Colin. Take it.
Hey everybody, it's Tracy Wright. My son and I ran Labor Pains 2020 on Sunday, this past Sunday, down at French Creek State Park, south of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. It's about 3 hours south of here. Labor Pains is an annual race that Pretzel City Sports puts on. We've both run it the past 4 years. Colin's always been my pacer, but this year he wanted to do it himself and get a 50K, which we both did. It's normally a 12-hour race, but this year they cut it down to 10 because they pushed the date back. It's usually held on Labor Day, but with the COVID restrictions, the original location would not allow large groups. And so they found an alternate location, but it had to be in November. So the weather was perfect. It was 45 degrees. The course was in a state park. I would say it wasn't super technical, not very hilly, maybe like a little bit of rolling hills, but it was pretty flat and a fast course. It was a 4-mile loop. As far as COVID goes, we all had to wear masks. The race directors encouraged social distancing. The runners, even when we came through the chute or we came to the aid station, we had to have our masks pulled up, and the aid station food was all individually wrapped. So it was definitely safe, and the race directors were wonderful. I'm so happy they were able to have this. Colin has not been able to participate in high school sports this year up in New York State due to COVID, and I haven't had any races this year. So it was wonderful to get out, enjoy a beautiful day on the trails. And I would highly recommend you all check out Labor Pains, which should be on Labor Day in 2021, held by Pretzel City Sports. And Pretzel City Sports also has many other races, and they've been fortunate enough to be able to hold many of those races this year. So check them out. And that's all I have. Labor Pains was awesome.
And then from the men's field, Andrew Styer.
Hi, my name is Andy Styer. I'm an ultra runner outside of Reading, Pennsylvania, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Labor Pains. This is an event put on by Pretzel City Sports. It's one of their premier events, and it's called Labor Pains because it's usually over Labor Day. However, with COVID happening, that didn't happen over Labor Day. Canceled almost, but they postponed it. We're able to recoup it and have it at French Creek State Park. So back to the normal event, it's always at the Reading Leaderkrantz on Mount Penn, and it has a 5-mile loop of fairly rocky, rugged, decent elevation trails. You come around each time, grab some stuff. There's beer there, which is sometimes a help, sometimes a hurt. It's drawn me in already and start drinking and race is over. But the city of Reading pulled their permit this year, and they couldn't have it there. So they were able to have it at French Creek State Park, where you can't have beer. And the loop was much different. It's a 4-mile loop, partially paved, partial, pretty easy trail. Didn't gain much elevation. I think over the 50 miles I gained 2,700 feet, which really isn't anything. It was very runnable. It wasn't rocky, wasn't many routes, just easy trail. So there was a lot of fast people there. I saw the winner this year was Andrew Simpson. I think he did 72 miles in 10 hours. I believe he also won the World's End Ultra, the 100K. So 2 wins, 2 races, not a bad job. As for me, it was a good day. 50 miles for an old guy, not too bad. I was happy with that. I actually had time to spare, could have went out for more, but 50 was cool with me. So, hopefully next year they'll be back to the Reading Leader Crowns, but if not, we'll race it wherever it is. Check them out, Pretzel City Sports. They do a great job. They really bring the runners together in the local Reading area. So hope you enjoyed this little segment. Thanks a lot.
Second race, New Jersey Trails Campgaw Trail Series ran this past Saturday at the Campgaw Mountain Reservation in Mahwah, New Jersey. One of the men's winners on the day, Chance Parker, checked in to give us the rundown on the event. Take it, Chance.
Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Chance Parker and I am a trail runner. Coming to you for the Trails Collective to provide a brief race report recap summary for New Jersey Trail Series Campgaw Fall Race Series. This is a 3-race series. Race 1 and race number 2 are done and in the books. Occurred November 7th and this past weekend, Saturday, November 21st. The last and final race of this 3-race series is coming up in less than 2 weeks, Saturday, December 5th. So if you have not yet checked out a New Jersey Trails Series race, I highly recommend that you do so. They got a 5K, a 10K, and even a 13.1 distance, something for everybody. Rick and the crew does a great job in marking out the course, also prioritizing racer, participant, and spectator health and safety. So expect to adhere to all social distancing requirements. Masks are required pre and post race at the start finish line. Aid station is individually packaged and well spaced out, and there are incremental waves of smaller racers launched every 15 minutes to spread the field out over the course during the day. So great job to them. It seems as though the smaller race promotions are a little bit more adaptable, flexible, and accommodating to the current COVID climate. So great opportunity to come out and support a local race promotion and organization. The venue, Campgaw Mountain, New Jersey park, about 1,300 acre park, also home to Campgaw Ski Resort, so boasting a powerful 735 foot summit elevation above sea level. Is going to take you a grueling 300 vertical feet to get up there, but a nice view from the top. All jokes aside, great fun little atmosphere, great trails. There's about 11-12 miles of trails in the park total. Rick does a great job in carving out a 5K course, run that twice for the 10K, and then roughly about a 4.3 mile loop drops you on the backside. You run that 3 times to get to your 13.1 half marathon distance. So race 1, I do know the course. I train up at Campgaw as well as Ramapo Reservation and Ramapo Mountains. So despite the trails being totally hidden and blanketed by a thick carpet of freshly dropped leaves, got a couple people turned around on the backside of the mountain, but I was able to grab that number 1 spot for the day. This last weekend, slightly different story. You never know who's going to lace up and toe the line. So the course got totally 13.1 half mile marathon course got smoked by a couple young bucks. Showed up in race singlets, and I think one was actually wearing vapor flies. Not sure how that worked out because conditions are varied. There's some really nice soft single track. There's some gravel roads, access roads, if you will, and also some very technical, sharp, rocky terrain up on top of the mountain. So be prepared. Caught some people off guard, but again, it's challenging and very indicative of the area. So that's really all I got. The race is coming up again, the final in the series. Pretty stoked about finishing off. This has really been my only legitimate race outlet this year, as most of us have experienced cancellations and postponements. So just yearning to make that connection with our community, to see some familiar faces has been a wonderful gift, and really happy and fortunate to partake and be a participant in that. So hopefully I'll catch you all up on Campgaw in just under 2 weeks. If not, we'll see you out on the trail. Thanks. Take care. Be well.
And the third event in the Campgaw series, I think the third and final event of the fall series, will be on December 5th, and registration is still open for that one. Third in the lineup, Hex Hollow Half. It was run in Spring Valley Park in York County, PA. The course boasted some roots, rocks, a couple stream crossings, some fast descents, and challenging climbs. Sounds pretty fun. They had a 13.1 and 6.66 miler, and weighing in were two from the mix. We will start with Eric Ferree.
Hey friends, Eric Ferree here to talk about this past Sunday's Hex Hollow event that went down right here in my hometown area of South Central Pennsylvania, actually in York County's Spring Valley Park. The course is a 6.66 mile loop, mostly single track, not too technical, but it is hilly, 1,200 feet of vert for that loop. You can do the one loop, or you can opt to actually do two loops to make it a 13.1 mile course. Just either way, watch out for that last quarter mile. It's a 12% grade all the way to the finish. This year's event was limited to just 100 runners, with split start times between the two events. That made social distancing a lot easier, and left the overall feel of the race feel pretty safe. The race organizers, James and Larry, always put on a great event. This is actually the fifth year of the event that I gave out this stainless steel cup in honor of that. It's not an expensive race. It's only $35, but they're not making any money on it because it all goes to charity. It goes to Olivia's House, which is a home to help out grieving children. So that's a really great cause for that. That said, the weekend itself was actually amazing, perfect weather for a race, especially compared to previous years when we've had snow and rain and mud. But this year was mostly dry and 40-degree temps, maybe a little wind, but not too bad in the trees. So a great day for racing, and it was a lucky day for me. I came in first in the 13.1 distance with a time of 1:51. 6 minutes behind me was Buck Kinney, and then 3 minutes behind him was Jeffrey Kyle. In the 6.66 event loop, the winner was Under Armour's Gabriel Rodriguez, in a blazing fast time of 48:48. And then nearly 5.5 minutes behind him, we got Gary Watson. And behind him by just a couple minutes was Jason Kearney. So all those podium finishers, all of us were actually from York County. So that was pretty neat. But that does beg the question or invite challengers for next year. This race is always the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's not heavily promoted, but if you do put an alert on Ultra Sign Up, it's always on there. You sign up for the alert, you'll get notified about that when it opens up. So look for that next year. So that does it for the men's race. To get the results for the women, we have the winner of the 13-point run, the super fast Tiffany Hodum. So Tiffany, take it away.
Everyone, thank you, Eric, for the nice introduction. As you said, my name is Tiffany Hodum, and I ran Hex Hollow Half this year. It was the first race I ran since February due to the pandemic. I didn't really know quite what to expect with races this year since everything was either getting postponed or canceled. And then I finally did decide to look for something that was local. A couple of my friends were going. I knew it was inexpensive, and all of the proceeds did go to a good cause. So I also really appreciated how all of the COVID rules and regulations you're supposed to follow on race day were outlined on the website. And as my type of personality, it was really nice that I could, prepare and kind of know what to expect on race day. I thought it was really convenient that you had a drive-through bib pickup and it felt safe, and all you had to do was get your bib, you parked, and then you were ready to go start line when it was time. They also had goodie bags for you at the end with lots of nice things in them, and it had your bib number, and then you could pick it up and leave when you're ready to go. The only downfall I thought to this year was since this was the first race I was ever the top female and won, I was kind of disappointed that my family couldn't be there to congratulate me and kind of celebrate my finish. So that was a little bit of a downfall. But other than that, the course was great, the race was great, the logistics, it was all really nice. I do want to talk about this course has 2 loops, which I think that's a little bit of a challenge. For me, it's more of a mental aspect that I like to incorporate, so you're going through the first loop and you know what to expect, and you're like, should I hold back, or should you just kind of go and take off and kind of hope for the best on the second half. This year, kind of what I did was I got out in front, and then I decided just to kind of maintain my pace throughout the race, and at the end, obviously run whatever you can run. I do want to say congratulations to everyone who ran that day and who got outside and enjoyed the weather, because it was great and the trails were great. They weren't muddy like the other time I ran. So for the 1 loop race, the 6.66 miler, I would like to congratulate, in first place was Michelle Vermeulen, who was 7th overall with a time of 1:14:45. And then second place was Lindsay Wolf. She was 9th overall with a time of 1:15:46. And then in third place was Kara Bowser. She was 13th overall with a time of 1:22. And all of these women were fairly local in the York area. So in my race, I was first, 6th overall with a time of 2:05:49. Then was Terry Bosnick. She was from Sparks, Maryland. She was 20th overall with a time of 2:33:27. And right behind her in third place was Sarah Wanger. She was 21st overall with a time of 2:33:42. So as I said, I want to congratulate everyone who got out and enjoyed the course. Hopefully next year we'll have a lot more participants and some new people joining us. So thank you.
And the last in this week's mix, the JFK 50 mile, I believe the oldest ultra in the country, and an A race for so many people nationwide. A bit of really a blend in this race with some pretty technical, well, relatively technical Appalachian Trail course, as well as getting into open road section. So tends to be pretty fast, tends to bring in some really fast runners nationwide, and goes back, or has quite the history. This one faced quite a bit of scrutiny and heat leading into the event, and in my opinion, rightly so. And this is something that I mentioned, I think, increasingly in the past couple weeks in episodes. I just think as a race director myself, as well as entrant, I think for an event to open itself to 1,200 runners, and really the format not really lend itself to being able to make it much smaller, I think ended up having waves open to 400 with some modifications going in. I just feel like something like that, bringing in people from across the country, and particularly in the environment of a county that was really ramping up in cases and hospitalizations, I just think it was pretty straight irresponsible. With all of that said, though, I still want to acknowledge this really truly historic event, and it does really make an impact for communities, hopefully in the positive way in this one. And there were a lot of really incredible performances put in by athletes from across the country. So to do it justice, I brought in someone much smarter than myself to break it down, and that was Encyclopedia Rich Heffron. Take it, buddy.
Hello, Trails Collective. Rich Heffron here to give you commentary on last weekend's JFK 50 miler, which took place down in Maryland. On the women's side, to begin, it was won by Camille Herron in dominating fashion. She finished in 6:31, number 8 all-time performance for her. Like usual, I'm sure Camille was looking for the record here, but ended up 19 minutes off of Ellie Greenwood's incredible 6:12 performance from a few years ago. This was a nice bounce back, though, for Camille, who recently had 2 DNFs, first at 3 days at the fair where she was going for the 48-hour world record, but did not end up finishing. And then I also believe she started at Javelina 100 a few weeks ago, but not make it to the finish. So nice bounce back for Camille. Surprising actually that she hadn't run this race before, but she won going away, never really had any competition this year. And second was Sarah Cummings, who appears to have been making her debut at the 50-mile distance. A former 2:34 marathoner from Chicago in 2014, two-time Olympic trials qualifier in the marathon in 2016 and 2020, All-American at Princeton, I believe, in cross country and maybe in track also. So really fine pedigree for Sarah. She's actually competed for the U.S. before at the 50K World Championships where she injured her hamstring. So she's been on kind of it seems a long road back, and she's definitely getting there after the 2020 Olympic Trials Marathon, and now a second place finish at JFK in her debut. She finished in 6:57:15, the number 27 performance all time, and she did that with a, no offense, Sarah, but a very slow split off the Appalachian Trail. She split 2:44, was 36 minutes behind Camille at that point. So she actually ran 10 minutes faster than Camille for the towpath and the final road section. So she was flying on the flat sections, but a bit slow on that rocky trail there. In third place was Haley Moody Gilpin from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I couldn't find many results for Haley, but she had a great race here, especially impressive if it was her debut. She finished 3 minutes behind Sarah in 7 hours, 57 seconds, the number 32 time all time. It looks like she was in second most of the way until Sarah caught her in the closing miles. So a great run from Haley, and look forward to following her career as she moves forward after this great performance. And fourth was Alicia Huddleston from Georgia. Alicia's run this race before. She's finished fifth in 2014 at JFK. More recently, she finished fourth at Black Canyon earlier this year. So she has a pretty stellar resume behind her, and she's adding to it with a fourth place finish. She finished in 7:14:08, which was good for the number 51 all-time performance. And fifth was Sarah Beal from Ohio, another debutante at the distance, it appears. 2020 Olympic Trials Marathon qualifier, 2:44 marathon to her name. It seems like a lot of kind of road runners, not much is on the schedule right now due to COVID, so it looks like she decided to give it a shot at JFK, and she ran 7:22 for fifth place. So really solid performance in her debut at the distance. Some other names in there from the Trails Collective States. In seventh, we had Sarah Zambati from Pennsylvania. In eighth, Yana Friedrichova from Hagerstown, Maryland, so her hometown race there. In ninth was Brenda Fortin from Massachusetts. And then in 10th, we had Melissa Ruse from Arizona, who I believe Ian was able to speak to, get some feedback on how the race went, how her experience was at JFK. And she had finished in 10th in 8:07:15. So I'm going to cut to Ian here for his interview with Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa Ruse. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I ran the JFK 50 miler this past weekend. It was my second time running. I ran last year as well. So the JFK 50 is a very unique race. It has 3 different sections. The first 15.5 are on the Appalachian Trail, and then it goes to the towpath, and then to the hilly road. My training leading up to the race was decent. I put in the most mileage I've ever put in. Last year we did more marathon specific training. This year I did more ultra specific training. So I had a lot of back-to-backs, or I would do long trail one day, long canal the next day, hilly road run the next day. So that, a great training. However, a month out, I have a GSP puppy, and he ran into me full force and strained my hamstring. So I had to cut back on my training, and I missed out on a crucial part, the speed work. So we just did what we could. But the good thing is I got to the start line healthy, and not in pain, and it was completely healed. I just missed out. We just did a long taper, basically. I have a great coach, James Benet. He's actually run the race himself too, so he helped out a ton. My favorite section of the race, again this year, was the trail section, which is surprising because I'm not the best trail runner. I usually typically run road marathons. But I really think the trail part is fun because it's so rocky and you're so in the moment. You don't want to trip and fall, and you're focusing on the rocks and nothing else, where the towpath is so long and you have a lot of time to think about everything. So yeah, I really like the trail section. I had a great crew this year. My friend Beth, she lives near the about an hour away from the race, and so it's great. We get to visit before, and yeah, so she did a good job crewing. The race did an amazing job with the safety protocols. It was just so good to be able to race this year. I was very nervous though. I did go back and forth. I was, it was just, it's hard to explain. But I got out there and I did feel safe during the race. And now I'm back home and I'm actually quarantining and isolating in our camper for the next 5 days. I just want to be sure so I don't get my family sick. Not that I feel sick, but I just, taking all the precautions and doing the right thing to ensure that if anything happened, they don't get sick. So, yeah, I placed 10th female overall in a time of 8:07. Last year I ran a 7:50 and I was 10th female last year as well. So I didn't quite get the time I wanted, but hey, got it done. I do plan on going back next year. This race it's a classic. It's one that you want to do over and over. It kind of reminds me of the Boston Marathon. It's one I want to just keep doing. They do such a great job. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much.
Now on to the men's results at JFK. It turned out to be a historic race this year. Attracted a lot of top talent once again, likely because there haven't been many other races. Road races are mainly off, so a bunch of guys came in from out of town to give JFK a shot, some making their debut, others not. Hayden Hawks ended up setting an incredible course record of 5:18:42, improving Jim Walmsley's record from 2016 by 2.5 minutes. The race director, Mike Spindler, said afterwards that he didn't think Walmsley's record would be broken for 20 or 30 years. Instead, it only took 4 years, which is pretty indicative of the increased talent and speed that is coming into the sport of ultra running these days. Hawks, who has a stellar background both on the track as a 28:53 10K guy and on the trails, had recently finished second at the Speed Goat this summer and had won Black Canyon back in February, so he's having a good year amongst all this craziness. He led from the gun, it appears. From the race report I saw, there was 4 guys up front off the AT and then onto the canal. It was Hayden Hawks, Matt Daniels, Jared Hazen, who had won previously in 2018, I believe, and Stephen Kirsch. And Hawks just laid down the pace on the canal trail. I saw his Strava splits, and it looked like he was running anywhere from 5:45 to 5:55 pace on the trail, and eventually the other guys dropped off. Matt Daniels, who tried to hang with him, ended up DNFing. Jared Hazen fell back and finished 13th, and Stephen Kirsch would hold on for second, and I'll talk about him in a second, in a little bit. But Hawks absolutely flew along the canal trail. He was 4 minutes off Walmsley's record after the first 15 miles, which are mainly on the Appalachian Trail, and then he chopped away at the time. Ended up, I think, according to the official results, averaging 6-minute pace for that section, and put a lot of time into Jim, and then ended up ending at 5:18 there. So really incredible time. If you get a chance, look at some of the videos of him running that are out there on the web. Just so smooth, looks super strong. And I feel like this type of event can really suits Hawks with his track background. He's good on trails, but he's even better on the flatter, faster stuff. In second place, Stephen Kirsch, an incredible result. Finished in 5:27:07, the third fastest time ever. He comes from Flagstaff, trains with Hazen, Sensman, Walmsley, Ferree, all those guys out there. He finished 7th at Western States last year, so he's, not an unknown name, but he doesn't race that much. Was fast in college. I think he was a low 14.5K guy. Once again, he stuck with Hawks over the AT and then tried to stick with him along the C&O Canal Trail. Still ran incredibly fast along that section, averaging 6:08s, and put a good amount of distance into third place. So really, had a remarkable day. Would have won, any other year, exempting 2 of them, and takes that number 3 spot all time. So it'll be interesting to follow Steven, depending on what he decides to do next after this result. In third place was Jonathan Aziz, making his debut at the ultra distances. Seems like one of these guys who had probably been shooting for a road marathon and had it canceled. He runs for the Boulder Track Club. 2:16 marathoner who finished 54th at the 2020 Olympic Marathon Trials. He's a Syracuse grad, so Central New York guy, from Guilderland, New York. Now obviously living out in Colorado. He ran really well. He performed well on the Appalachian Trail, was a few minutes behind the leaders, but not bad for someone making their debut, and then crushed the canal section, running 6:13 pace, and picked off a few of the guys that paid for trying to stick with Hawks, like Hazen and Daniels. So he finished in 5:37:16 for the number 6 performance all time. So this is what I mean by it being a historic day. The fastest third place finisher ever at JFK. And fourth was Anthony Kunkel from Colorado. He has experience at this race. I know he finished second in 2016. I think he's also run it 1 or 2 other times. Kunkel has a good background. He's been the 50-mile road champ at Tussey Mountain Back and the 100K road champ out at Mad City. He's run fast in the kind of flatter, faster races before. He's also done well on the trails. He finished 4th at Black Canyon 2019. Super solid day, 5:45:33, so improving on his previous best of, I think, 5:52 at JFK. But unfortunately, given how fast of a day it was, it only nabbed him, nabbed him 4th place. His 5:45 was the number 18th performance all time. So once again, the fastest finisher ever at that 4th place spot. So great run from Kunkel. And 5th was Jeff Burns, another stellar ultra runner. Twice he's finished 5th place at the 100K World Championships. He has a 6:30 100K PR to his name. So it seems like JFK with a lot of that flat, faster running would be suited for him, and he did well, finishing in 5:52:51 for the 30th best performance all time. Hard to keep up with those other guys on the day, but solid performance from Jeff, and good to see him back out there. In 6th place, another debut from Rajpal Panu. He was coming in from California, 2:17 marathoner, also ran the Olympic Trials Marathon, finished 63rd, so not too far behind Aziz there. Solid day, ran 6 hours, just missed going under that 6-hour mark, which has been a benchmark, although now the times are getting so fast. 6 hours, 24 seconds, but was really impressive about his race, kind of similar to Sarah Cummings on the women's side. He split 2:11 off the Appalachian Trail, so it was way back, like 25, almost 30 minutes behind the leaders there, and then cut into some of the top guys on the canal. So I had a good run on the flats there for him, so a nice debut. In 7th, we had Mark Gaudette from Virginia in 6:08, and in 8th place, Graham Peck from Baltimore, Maryland. Graham had actually finished 2nd back in 2015 at JFK in 5:49, 2 minutes behind Walmsley that year. So he's run really fast at JFK before. And I believe Ian was able to get in touch with Graham and talk to him about this year's race. So it'll be interesting to hear how he felt about his 8th place finish in 6:15 and kind of how this year, with all the precautions, compared to potentially years past. But that kind of rounds out the top competitors from a historic JFK this last year. So I'm going to let Ian take it away with Graham Peck.
Hey everyone, my name is Graham Peck, and I ran at the 58th running of the JFK 50 miler this past weekend. To get the COVID talk out of the way first, I thought that the race organizers did a perfectly sound job of ensuring that runners and spectators and volunteers and staff and everybody was as safe as they could possibly be during this time. Neck buffs up at the start line, coming through aid stations, finish line. The aid stations themselves were spaced out more, so I mean, all of that was great. I think that obviously we all want COVID to be behind us soon, but in the meantime, I think that JFK did a really excellent job of showing race directors how we can possibly put on races safely in the meantime. So I'll definitely be back for more in the coming years. So for the race itself, for me, I was looking for a race this fall that I really didn't care what the distance was. I just wanted a lot of competition up front. And, anywhere between 1 hour and 12 hours, I kind of was telling people, I mean, totally not joking. I know that's a huge range, but I didn't care. I just didn't want it to be some virtual race or some marathon where I'm running out there alone. So it was not that I'm in the class of the top of the runners there at JFK this year, but it was definitely fun to just, see some fast guys out there. It's inspiring. So this was my third time out there to race JFK. I've been out there a bunch of other times to watch. My dad has run it 11 times now. So the weather this year was so much warmer than any of those other dozen or so years that I've been out. Just 50 degrees, no wind, maybe 55 at the highest. Just didn't have to worry about hat, gloves, any of that stuff. So I knew that it would be a fast day. Obviously, Hayden Hawks crushing that course record really shows you how fast it was. Back in 2012 when I ran it, it was the 50th running. I just wanted to be a part of the 50th running, honestly. I was at the end of a marathon build-up for me. I just kind of threw it in there. I was younger and faster back then, but I rolled through like 6 flat pace probably to the first 35 miles, but I really was humbled the last 15 miles and did plenty of walking and finished in 6:18. And then in 2015, I had what I consider the kind of race of my life. I ran 5:49 and got second to Jim Walmsley, if you've heard of him. He wasn't the legend that he is today, but he was definitely on the upswing, and he really showed his strength at JFK the next year in 2016 when he ran 5:21. But so yeah, 5:49 to 6:18. I was kind of hoping to be in the middle of that. I ended up 7 seconds faster than 2012, so I was 6:18 and change, which is pretty unbelievable. The race kind of played out. I ran socially distant to a few people on the AT. Came off the AT about 5 minutes slower than I did in 2015 when I had that great run, which was perfect. But by mile 27 or so, my left calf was already starting to seize up on me a bit. And I had heel surgery a year and a half ago, and that left calf injury, my left calf still isn't strengthened all the way. So that was kind of yipping at me. I really never went more than 5 minutes at a time the whole rest of the race without it kind of, Charlie horsing on me. So that wasn't too fun, but it was a really good show of a mental toughness for myself, I think, to be able to persevere through that and keep pushing and moving up the ranks very slowly, at least not giving up positions. Hitting the roads, I would, go a mile and then walk for 30 seconds or whatever, try to stretch it out. But, like I said, proud of myself for pushing through it. I really didn't know what place I was in until I got to a quarter mile to go, and you can hear over the PA system, Graham Peck from Baltimore, Maryland is our looks like he's gonna be a 8th place finisher. And I've walked up that little hill with 600 yards to go, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna jog in these last 2 minutes, and I got to 30 yards to go, calf cramp again, and I just was kind of laughing at myself at that point. But yeah, I'm stoked to get in the top 10. I'll definitely be back in the coming years. Appreciate you guys listening to me. Cheers.
So thanks for tuning in this week to the results and voices episode. I'm not sure if I'll get you out anything else this week, but I hope you all have wonderful Thanksgivings, and I will check in with you. Actually, no, I'm going to still try to get in FKT Fridays for Friday. I'll check in with you in a bit. Have a good Thanksgiving. See you.